someone came to the one of my videos, one of my most recent videos, and asked a question, which thank you for that. And they asked if I had ever seen one of the insectoid type aliens. And I had to think about my answer because this is actually something I have doubted. So I had to say probably not. To be truthful, probably not. I mean, that part of uncovering the truth is facing things like that. But as I have been thinking over my answer for the past couple of days, information has slowly been filtering in just a little bit. And there are some circumstantial things that I thought I would share. And I welcome your feedback, your intelligent feedback. What you're looking at is a picture of a character and from a comic I used to do. And unfortunately, this means I have to touch upon the other half, the real life, not Jennifer White, mundane life of me. But this is a character in a comic I used to do named Akashic. And well, we're not going to go into him or anything, but the thing about Akashic was the parts, because I had, teammates help me come up with stories and everything, but the entire world and everything in there, they were all out of my head. And as and I didn't start learning things like was from Springmeyer or information from Jim Mars or whatever until after I had started the comic. And over the years, I have come to realize that Akashic had filtered out a lot of my experiences, the knowledge of how the alien races worked and everything into this comic. It was just one of those things, actually, and it's kind of interesting because actually Stephen King covers how authors and artists will do that in his book Insomnia. He mentions how one of the people who had faced the It creature in the It book, the book It, had created stuff, was a writer, and all of his books were actually reflections of his time when he faced down the monster and he no longer remembered it. But I now know, because this particular character was actually based on, I know he was a handler now. I thought of him as a lover, but now I know that he was my hybrid, well, now I suspect he was my hybrid. Well, it's more convoluted than that. Let's just say my husband's involved in this and it's messed up. And if we had the truth, it wouldn't be so messed up. It would just be clear cut. But anyway, his description is he's basically a hybrid. One of the hybrids that Dr. Jacobs would talk about. And he's not really a mantoid. He's just there because I was looking at the art because it's been so long. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that. But these are some of the memories of the main character, which now I know this is all MK Ultra stuff. I mean, that was one thing I never forgot. And, anyway, here we are. This is a scene that I call The Bargain. And in it, the main character, who, by the way, after a fashion was myself, but, don't take this literally because we know they lie, right? They tell you, oh, you're so special, and they give you these scenarios so that you'll be fooled. But in it, she makes a bargain with the insectoid race to, I don't know, whatever. She's a rebel. And it's all vague now, and I can't remember now, although I try. But for the longest time, I thought, yeah, past life memory, yeah, it's all true. Oh, yeah, whatever. Or it's based on truth very loosely, or I'm inspired. But now I'm like, I don't know if this bargain ever happened. I think I made this part up, or possibly I was lied to think it happened. But yeah, that's what that chink is we're gonna have a great friendship, you and I. And I started looking into the insectoids about this, and recently, and haven't really gotten very far because I've noticed that when it comes to information about insectoids, there's not a lot of information out. There's like, they look like this and they're like this, and that's about as far as it gets that I have found. And I'm not very good at finding it, and I've only just started finding. But I can tell you that I always felt like they were dangerous and not nice in a cold, really scary, like personally frightens me to death kind of way. And there was this one time, and I was always joking with my friends, oh yeah, I don't want to see them because I owe them money, and they don't play when it comes to money, those contracts are ironclad with them. You think reptiles are contract clad? Try a freaking, mantoid, and or however you say their name. Anyway, so there was this one time, and I only just remembered it today, and I was like, oh yeah. There was this one time that I was living in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was me and my roommate, who has gone totally mundane, and I can't talk to her about these things now. But anyway, I woke up after a pickup, and I knew it. Like, it was one of the rare times that I woke up terrified and nauseous and sick. It had been such a terrible experience, whatever it was that happened. I don't know what happened, but I knew insects had been there. And I got out of bed terrified, and I stumbled into my roommate's bedroom, and I was in tears, and I was freaking out, and I'm waking her up. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning, trying to tell her what happened. And I'm bawling. I mean, I am just bawling my eyes out. And I ended up on the floor next to the bed, next to the bed on the floor. And my head was completely filled with the visions of chickens and chicken breasts. It just came into my head and completely served to obstruct whatever it is I was about to remember. And there was something about the chickens and the chicken breasts, and I can't remember what she said, but she, how like you say, and the rainbow, it wrapped around my neck and choked me. And the person's like, the rainbow wrapped around your neck and choked you, to clarify what you're saying. Well, that's what she was with me and me talking about these chicken breasts. And then it was gone. And I had completely forgot about that. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if there really were insects there. But the thing, the reaction I had when I came out of it was just violently upset. I have been abused, beat up, raped, pushed around, and I have never had a reaction emotionally to any of that like I did after coming back from that pickup. It was very distressing. And yeah, I'd like to remember. Sure, it would be terrible things to remember, but my God, so I came across a interview with Dr. Jacobs, kind of accidentally, actually. I wasn't looking for it, and he was talking about it, about his book that I have picked up to start reading. As you guys know, I'm reading it. And he's talking about the mantoids, and he's talking about how the Greys are definitely workers, and the mantoids are kind of like the bosses. Well, I happen to know there's somebody above the mantoids. I couldn't tell you beyond that. I mean, I have this vision in my head of like a queen bee. But anyway, that's just it. I have used the insect world as a scenario on on how these guys work before, because that's basically what they are. Yes, the government had to have a plant specialist to help the Grey that they had in custody when it got sick. But their hierarchy and the way they act is very insect-like. It's kind of like ants and kind of like bees. If you don't know anything about the two insects, go watch a bunch of documentaries, settle in, get yourself a beer, have a drinking game, oh my God, aliens do that, have a drink, something, because you'll learn a lot of analogies that you could associate to understand the mind of these creatures. The problem that we have in our relations and trying to understand these guys is people want to humanize them. I mean, that show, People of Earth, I absolutely love that show. But they've got the Grey very humanized. And of course he's humanized. They want you to like the character. They want you to feel emotionally invested in this show. They want you to feel for this character. And I do for him as a character, even though he clearly isn't a Grey. He's a hybrid looking guy. But in real life, they're not like that at all. Like, at all. It's one thing to laugh at the parody. Don't take it seriously. They're not like that. They do have a hive mind. Well, there's reason for the term hive mind. So if you don't know ants, I don't know if ants do it. I know that ants have hierarchies, and specific ants are bred for certain things. Like you have your warrior ants, and then you have your scout ants, and you have your forager ants. Well, bees actually will single out one to be a queen, and they feed her a special jelly to turn her into a queen. I mean, that's pretty well known. If you didn't know it, you know it now. They also will do that to create a male bee, and specific types of the female bees, where you have your female guard bees, and then you have your female forager bees and your female scout bees, and yeah. So when you stop and you sit back and you look at the alien agenda, or just what we know of their society picked up from bits from the people coming back, you'll note that they're doing exactly the same thing. They have their mini rows of cloning pods. A couple of times they've even admitted that they are clones. So you have your mini rows, kind of like a beehive or an anthill of the the embryos or whatever. And each one is being formulated to do different things. People have remarked there's rooms dedicated completely to battle-ready bodies, and there's rooms dedicated completely to this and dedicated. I mean, these guys are insects, and they have a very complicated mound society, and you can't, so yeah. But that's, I don't know. I'll write about it eventually when I start getting my act together better, which may or may never happen. But and this is just something to know. You're not dealing with these creatures that are like you. You're dealing with giant walking, talking ant bees. Okay, yeah, and that old movie, The Sugar Factory. I'm sorry, but when it comes to their society, I'm going to think of The Sugar Factory before I think of I don't know, alien contact. So, anyway, that's my thought on mantids for the day. I'm gotta go to bed, but I'm going to start beginning looking at them in earnest now that I have managed to uncover what little bit. I mean, if there's more and what I uncover makes me remember, I'll report it, but that's what I've got, and I hope you enjoyed my sloppy artwork. And if you're going to be looking for the comic, just as a side note, you're probably not going to find it. I had to stop producing it. It doesn't mean I don't intend to come back. I've just got other projects I'm doing at the moment, one of which is there's this sloppy, boring romance called The Heavenly Bride that's a spinoff, and it's actually from the point of view of that hybrid that we started off with. It's very boring. I don't recommend it. There are people that like it, but I don't recommend it. And there's like a short comic I'm working on, and it's actually from the point of view of Glowbrights. And if you don't know what a Glowbright is, it's an interdimensional traveler, and they actually get around by pulling these strings that hold the universe together, the string theory thing. They actually pull the strings. And when the strings pull, they put out sound vibrations, notes. And if it, and they use the notes to ride from place to place. It's pretty neat little guys. And then, of course, there's the novel that the Mundane Mean is making. And you don't really need to know about these things because that's not about this. This is about mantoids.